Joining us now is Ngozi Okpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Ngozi.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good.
You're learning. I can see you're not wearing a black jacket.
Yes.
How are you?
I followed your instruction.
That was a great interview you just had today.
Thank you.
Very well. Good morning, Tundu.
Good morning, Ngozi.
You know, I don't know what to say at this point because if I do, it may be misinterpreted, but you look like the lawyer
He doesn't
that
like
you
it
are.
like Thank you.
But I want to say it because you look awesome.
Thank you, darling.
Great. Good morning, Rufai. How are you?
Hi, good morning, Ngozi. How are you? Great.
I'm doing excellent. Thank you.
Morning.
Great. Well, good morning to you, viewers. Here are some of the highlights of what's trending across the globe. First, in the US, the 2021 Time 100 Next list is out, and it features 5 Nigerians, including award-winning musician Davido, 3 members of the Feminist Coalition for their involvement in EndSARS, and the co-founder of Flutterwave, Olubenga Agbola. Then, in Nigeria, the Minister of Defense, Bashir Magashi, has come under fire for charging Nigerians to defend themselves against banditry. And in entertainment, Namase Wahala has become the first Nigerian film on Netflix to top the chart in the US and the UK.
I'm going to marry you.
Excuse me?
This is such wonderful news. Who is he? Where's he from?
I'm Raj.
You can't just go to your in-laws' house just like that. Let them know you are one of us. Blend in.
Well, women across Nigeria are still celebrating the emergence of Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala as the new WTO boss. And the latest to join the Ankara army is British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Ms. Catriona Liang.
Hey, my sister Ngozi, we are so proud of you, the new Director General of the World Trade Organization. Congratulations. And all you young girls out there, see what you can aspire to. You can be brilliant in your career, but also just be yourself.
Rufai, how cute was that dance?
She was doing a tap.
No.
If we saw her leg, I thought she was doing a tap with it at the same time. But it's quite a very lovely dance step, and it just goes. It feels like it has this Indian feel to me, you know. And
I think she was inspired by that song that was viral when we're celebrating Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala.
I know, but it's just lovely.
It's amazing. Well, let's begin with the Minister of Defense, Bashir Magashi, who's come under fire on social media for urging Nigerians to defend themselves in the face of growing banditry in some parts of the country. This is coming just hours after some bandits struck the government science secondary school, Kankara, in Niger State, where they abducted more than 20 school children. While addressing journalists on Wednesday, the minister said that victims of banditry should resist such attacks and let criminals know that even the villagers have the capability to defend themselves. Let's take a quick listen.
Is it the responsibility of the military alone? It's the responsibility of everybody to keep alert and find safety when necessary. But we shouldn't be cowards. At times, the banditry will only come with about 3 rounds of ammunition. When they fire shot, everybody runs. In our younger days, we stand to fight any aggression coming to us. I don't know why people are running away from minor things like that. They should stand and let these people know that even the villagers, they have the competence and capability to defend themselves. But our own duty is to ensure no Nigerian is hurt and we're capable of protecting the integrity of this nation. And we will continue to do it.
Well, his comment has really upset a lot of Nigerians on social media. One of the reasons is because obviously people are saying if we don't have the right to carry ammunition, how can we defend ourselves? Dr. Abati, is there any law that could help us get that permission to carry ammunition to defend ourselves?
Well, I mean, if you want to carry ammunition, you must get, under the Firearms Act, you must get permission from the police. You cannot carry anything more than a dingun, and that has to be licensed. At some point, the Nigerian government had to even review that by mopping up the arms, because part of the challenge we face with security in Nigeria is the proliferation of small arms and weapons, a challenge that Nigeria has not been able to deal with, either at the national level or the regional level. So it is surprising, therefore, that in the context of insecurity, the Minister of Defense will be recommending, one, that people should resort to self-help. Now, if they resort to self-help, that will be a way of further deepening the chaos that we're dealing with. Already, we're concerned that too many arms and ammunition are in the wrong hands. Every day you see pictures of the security agencies, arresting people who have access to arms and ammunition, the source of which we do not know. So I had commented on this earlier, and I had said that what the Minister of Defense has said is very shocking. And in a sense, you could also say that it is insensitive, because he's more or less telling Nigerians that you are cowards. You help yourselves. It's also an expression of helplessness on the part of government and also of cluelessness, if you can put it like that. Why blame Nigerians for not standing up? When they have people, security agencies, they have the police, whose primary duty it is to ensure, the security of lives and property. They have the military units, whose responsibility is to protect the territorial sovereignty of Nigeria, and that may be, invited in aid of civil authority as necessary. So, what he's saying is very shocking. However, the only thing that you can take away from it is when he talked about collective responsibility. And I referred to that earlier when I said, well, the National Security Advisor and the various security chiefs, they are talking at this moment of what they call a whole of society and whole of government approach. In other words, they're saying that security cannot be left alone to government, that there is collective responsibility. But yes, even when you talk about collective responsibility, it does not fall on the ordinary citizen to be the one to protect himself or herself. I think when we're talking with General Abdulsalami Abubakar, he said without holding brief for the Minister of Defense, he thinks citizens can help by way of providing information, intelligence, because so many of these bandits, they live among us. Now, we've had that before. We can't do more than that. What will school children who were abducted, 42 of them, along with teachers and members of families, what could they have done with bandits wielding AK-47, arriving, unexpectedly, and then attacking them, killing one of them? So it will amount to blaming and shaming the victim. And I do not think that that is the kind of conversation we want to hear from the Minister of Defense of Nigeria. If he's tired of the job, he should immediately submit his resignation to President Buhari, who appointed him, instead of embarrassing his office and the people of Nigeria with suggestions that do not seem to make sense, in my view.
Tundu?
Well, I didn't even link this statement at all, to the NSA statement talking about collective responsibility, because that was a lot more sensible. This one, for me, was just so jarring in the use of the word coward, in him saying in his younger days he could have given the bandits what for, as if this current generation, I despair of how weak, how lame you are. I mean, it is victim blaming at its lowest, at its most abhorrent. The fact of the matter is that security is the responsibility of the government.
Yes.
The abysmal failure to arrest insecurity is the responsibility and the fault of the government, not the citizenry. And as you've said, we do have that Firearms Act in Nigeria. We do not get to walk around with pistols and AK-47s and whatever. If you do that, then you are a criminal. You will be arrested, you will be charged. So what exactly is he trying to suggest? That people should, wield kitchen utensils against armed bandits? It makes no sense. And it just goes to show the kind of public servants that we have that treat the people they are meant to serve with such contempt. This is extremely offensive to me, quite frankly.
Yes, no, everyone's
because these children have been kidnapped, and rather than give assurances of their safe return, this is what he has to say. And he did actually give assurances of their safe return, saying what they did in Katsina, they will repeat. You should not be repeating it. It should not have happened at all. He should be hanging his head in shame, rather than pointing fingers, talking about other people's inadequacies.
Very good point. Very good point, Tundu. Rufai, before I come to you, I guess we'll have to take a quick break. And when we come back, What's Trending on the Morning Show will continue. welcome back to the morning show. We're still on What's Trending. Rufai, we were talking about the Minister of Defense's comment when he talked about Nigerians defending themselves and not, act as cowards when they see bandits. I want to take two tweets before you comment. One is from popular comedian Frank Donga, who wrote, when a serving Minister of Defense who has 24 hours protection by loads of armed officers calls poor unarmed citizens cowards for not fighting armed bandits, there's trouble. Then another one is from a Dr. Olufimilayo, who wrote, the Minister of Defense said Nigerians should defend themselves against bandits. Yet, the same man is against the ownership of guns by private citizens. So please, how do we defend ourselves? With a bread knife or a shoe? Rufai, what are you going to use?
Probably he wants us to defend ourselves with a horse whip. Maybe we'll whip the bandits with koboko, as it's called in local parlance, because I don't know what to say. And it's quite shocking that the Minister of Defense comes in and says they just shoot some rounds of Kalashnikovs. Honorable Minister, I'm sure you were in the military, you know what a Kalashnikov is. Automativa Kalashnikova. That's what it's called. Finished in 1947. Even the man that developed the gun himself, Mikhail Kalashnikov, said, I am a soldier, so I developed this gun for soldiers. That's the strength of it. It's one of the most successful weapons that was ever created. Isn't it funny that the weapon is still bandied around after it was created in 1947? That's to show you the power of the weapon. 30 rounds people can load up on an AK-47. The load speed is high. 350 meters it can travel in projectile. It is a monster of a weapon. And that's what is being bandied around on the streets in Nigeria, like people are carrying bags of pure water, and you say, defend yourself and face them. It's a 9.6 millimeter bullet. That thing will destroy the bones. You saw what happened to that child that died. He was shot in the head with this AK-47. I'm sure he couldn't have withstood the blow and the impact on his brain. And you say we should put our chest up for that. I'm not even sure Sunday Igboho will want to stand around that. It is that sad. The Constitution says, protect the citizens, protect the life and the livelihoods of the citizens. 14(2)b. That's why we pay taxes. We give you our sovereignty, governments, to be able to protect us. Let everybody do their job. Nigerians are defending themselves in technological advancements, in innovation. You can see them, they are at the top of the Times magazine. They are defending and representing their country well. Honorable Minister of Defense, please defend and do your own job. We are doing ours very well.
Well said. Well, in the meantime, as Nigerians call on the government to ensure the release of the abducted school children in Niger State, photos of the dormitory where the students were abducted have surfaced on social media, revealing the moribund state of the infrastructure. Chundum, look at this. What's happening here? I mean, is this the actual school? When I saw these photos, I wanted to be sure it was the actual picture and where these bandits operate yesterday.
Sadly, it is. Well, it appears to be. It looks like something that was built decades ago and abandoned. You know how an abandoned building just falls apart, due to the ravages of time? I cannot believe that this is where Nigerian children, the future of this country, has to go and get an education. Doesn't it look like an abandoned building?
It looks like...
I would never have thought anybody had been in there in decades.
It looks like a war-torn area at this point, Dr. Abati.
It's so sad.
Well, I mean, nobody should be surprised about this. This is the actual story of Nigeria with regard to infrastructure, maintenance of infrastructure, provision of infrastructure. Whether you are talking about the education system, or you are talking about roads, or you are talking about public transportation, or you are even talking about police facilities. You recall a few years ago the scandal of the images of the police college in Ikeja here in Lagos, where policemen were shown, like persons living in a pigsty. And with regard to education, we're very emotional about it because education has to do with the future of the country. How do you produce young children, young persons who can be very competitive in this kind of antediluvian, very embarrassing kind of condition. And there are schools, it will interest you to know, that are worse than this. You say this looks like a war-torn zone,
yes,
maybe from Somalia or from Yemen or from Syria. There are schools that are worse. These ones, they even have, a dormitory. They even have classrooms. We have shown images on this same program of students who study under the trees, or students who do not even have access to classrooms. The other day, you yourself brought the story of nursing students from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, who were writing an exam outside the classroom, outside the hall. We asked the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, to explain what was happening. Up to now, nobody has explained anything. However, with regard to this Kangara school, the primary task before the government of Nigeria and the Niger State government is to get those children, the family members, and the 3 staff members released, to rescue them. We are hoping that we will have the same happy ending as we have in the case of the Kankara 300,
yes,
as I said earlier on. The president has already mandated the security agencies to ensure that. We have seen a high-profile visit led by the Minister of Defense, even if, unfortunately, the Minister of Defense went there to put his foot in his mouth, But it's not about high-profile visits. It's about making sure that those people, they are rescued and that steps are taken to prevent future occurrences. I recall that in 2014, since 2014, the federal government of Nigeria has been talking about perimeter fencing for secondary schools,
yes,
for boarding schools across the country, particularly in the northern part, where, these bandits always go and kidnap students. Now, I'm not too sure. We should ask the question, what's the status of that project about perimeter fencing? What has government done over the years to provide necessary security for vulnerable children and teachers in many of these schools? So these are the kind of questions we should be asking. And I hope that after the children and the other persons have been rescued, where that particular school, when we do a follow-up story, will not look like that. The state governor will have to do his job, because
yes,
that's a state-owned
yes,
secondary school. And yet, if you go and check the so-called achievements of whoever the state governor is, he will tell you that they've spent a lot of billions on education. And yet, if this is an indication of the status of everything else in Niger State, it's a very sorry picture, and it is something that the governor himself should be personally ashamed of.
Well said, Dr. Abati. Let's take another story that has gone viral on social media. It's a video of a popular clergyman, Apostle Johnson Suleiman, who was boasting about purchasing his 3rd private jet during the COVID-19 pandemic. In the short clip, the clergyman could be heard saying that he already has 2 private jets, but purchased a 3rd one while people were busy complaining about the pandemic. Pastors, Rufai, I didn't know pastors made that much money. I mean, what's happening here?
Then I'll comment on the school.
No, the pastor, please. Just comment on the story, please.
I'll comment on the pastor. I don't know what to say. You know why? Because I am shocked at how our religious leaders have taken religion. He said, when you are speaking in tongues, you are printing money. That's a lie. I speak in tongues, but I don't print money. That's a pure lie. And you are buying 3 private jets where people are suffering, where people committed suicide due to COVID. And your church members are clapping for you. Let me tell you what happens. It's a mindset of poverty, and people are already aspirational. So when you come and you feed people with that, all they see is aspiration, but they don't see beyond the line. If I had that same money he used to buy jets, I would set up over 40 soup kitchens where people can go and eat for free. The Yorubas have a saying that once you take hunger out of poverty, then poverty has ended. But it shows the misplaced priorities. And that's why when people argue with me that churches shouldn't pay taxes, I say, why will pastors be buying 3 private jets in an economy where 100 million people can't afford to live on $1 a day, 400 naira? Oji is so bad that at the end of the month, 100 million Nigerians cannot have 22,000 naira in their pockets. Then somebody saying is buying a private jet that costs nothing less than $500,000 to $1 million or less. You can see the misnomer. He shouldn't even come out. If he's scared enough, he shouldn't even come out in a nation like this to say this at this point in time where hunger and poverty is pervasive. It's not a representation of prosperity of God to tell other people that they are stupid for being poor, because that's what you are telling them. And I don't know who his advisors are. He said his wife was there with him and said, life has never been this good. Why didn't his wife go one step further to tell him that, honey, this money you are printing, why don't you use it to support people and help them? You see, we are setting dynamite in place and we are putting matches on it. I pray it doesn't blow up on our faces the way the inequality is going in society. For me, what is shocking is the effrontery at which he comes out to say it. In an economy where people are dying from poverty, Oji, I have seen people die, malnourished, starved to death. And let me just make a quick comment. Yeah. You see, you cannot train the future of Nigeria in a place that looks worse than the Auschwitz concentration camp. That Kangara school looks worse than the Auschwitz concentration camp. We need to make this country right. We need to be careful. Pastor Suleiman, please, you owe your congregation an apology.
All right, Rufai. Tundu, your take on this story?
Well, this story is not about pastors. It's about a pastor. So this talk of pastors and buying 3 jets, it was one person. So let's keep the focus on him. And Rufai has pretty much said it all. Speaking in tongues is not about printing money. What a ridiculous thing to say. And I'm really surprised that a church full of Christians would applaud that. It's about deepening your relationship with God and personal transformation. Point blank, period. It's got nothing to do with that. It's really shocking for anybody, much less a man of God or self-described man of God, to say that he prays that COVID will not end, and his wife said she didn't know life could be this sweet. When people are mourning, people are in despair, people are in hospital, people have really, truly suffered. Yeah. Industries have collapsed. Parents cannot pay their children's school fees. What on earth is he talking about? I
don't know even where he got the congregation for cheering.
Yeah, we're applauding that.
Right. Well, Dr. Abati, before you take your comment, I guess we'll go on a short break. And when we come back, What's Trending on the Morning Show will continue. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Morning Show. We're still on What's Trending. Dr. Abati, before we went on a break, we were talking about Apostle Suleiman purchasing his 3rd private jet during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, well, Apostle Suleiman Johnson, or Johnson Suleiman, the lead pastor of the Omega Fire International Ministries with headquarters in Auchi, is not new to controversy. When the matter is not a certain young lady accusing him of one thing or the other, it will be about some bedroom issue. At the moment, he has an issue with one of his former pastors, one Pastor David, who is pointedly accusing him, I think, of adultery. And now this latest controversy. So we won't be surprised what the next controversy will be. But in this particular case, I think it's very insensitive. Worldwide, over 11 million people are infected as a result of COVID-19. Over 2 million have died. Even here in Nigeria, we have a very serious case. I'm sure that congregation that is in front of him, that he was preaching to, there will probably be some of them, who know persons who have either died as a result of COVID-19 or have survived or have been infected by it. And the key message that he has for them, in that particular sermon, is to tell them that while other people are suffering, he and his wife, in fact, they are making so much money, they are progressing, they are resting. In other words, one is saying that, well, we are superior to you people. We have a certain anointing, and if you are anointed, then, of course, you can be untouched by COVID-19. Well, I guess, people who worship pastors, it's like the kind of thing they like to hear. And that is why at one level we keep saying to people who have turned pastors into God to beware. Because the Church of Christ is the church of the poor. But we have this major problem in Nigeria of these prosperity pastors, prosperity gospel, where the only thing that they show is they exhibit wealth. They preach that once you read your Bible, you will automatically become rich. And we have had issues of people even stealing from their employers to go and give to these pastors. So at one level, the caveat emptor is that the congregation should beware. And then these pastors who preach prosperity, who do showmanship, oftentimes abuse the pulpit. We have had all kinds of things from the pulpit in Nigeria that I find very shocking. Some of them coming up with all kinds of theories about COVID-19. There was one pastor that said COVID-19 is about 5G. Now, this particular pastor is linking his own assumed invisibility, immunity, divine immunity from COVID-19 to prosperity. What else won't we hear? And that's why we keep calling on the leaders of the Church of Nigeria, the Christian Association of Nigeria, the Pentecostal Federation of Nigeria, to at least have some kind of standards in Christendom so that the pulpit does not become, a platform for all kinds of statements. However, why I talked about the congregation is that I've seen some people on social media defending this Pastor Suleiman, saying that, the tape that is going viral is just about 3 minutes out of a long sermon, and that people did not listen to the other parts of it. But he had already said enough, within these 3 key moments, 3 minutes that have been isolated. And then, OG, you are the fashion star, the international model. What kind of Joseph coat is that the pastor was wearing?
Do you know that I was about to say that?
Yeah, because I looked at it, I said,
that video. What is happening there?
I said, this is like Joseph's coat of many colors, But I guess if that is what sells his market, then of course he will dress like that.
I was actually shocked when I saw that jacket, Dr. Abati. I'm glad you brought that up because I don't understand what this is. I don't even know if this video is even current because nobody dresses like this. Dr. Abati, really?
Apparently he does.
No. All right. Well, let's take our final story. Acknowledging the 5 outstanding Nigerians who made the 2021 Time 100 Next list. Afropop singer Davido, the Feminist Coalition Group, and tech expert Olubenga Agbola were listed among emerging leaders who are shaping the future. Davido was selected in the Phenoms category alongside stars like Amanda Gorman. The Feminist Coalition Group, including the co-founder Feyikemi Abudu, were spotlighted by the magazine in the Advocates category for their role in the NSAS protest. And in the same vein, Olubenga Agbola, co-founder of Flutterwave, was recognized for his contribution during the protest. Tundun, how amazing is this?
Isn't this wonderful?
Yes.
It was actually the 2 founders of the Feminist Coalition.
Yeah.
And
yeah, so there are 3 of them.
Abudu, yes. So I know a proud mother somewhere today. I know her mother. I'm sure she's over the moon.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. We're very proud of them. And it's sad for me with the Feminist Coalition that they've been, feted abroad, celebrated abroad, and in Nigeria, harassment and, being maligned.
Yeah.
It's really, that for me, we need to really focus on that point. Yeah. These are our Nigerian youth shining.
Yeah.
And how we're encouraging, we're doing quite the opposite. And it just goes to show what these young people accomplished, their sort of organizational skills, how efficient they were, how passionate they are. This is exactly what we need to harness to move this country forward. But instead, they're being gagged.
Yes.
So that, for me, is the whole point here that needs to really be addressed.
Well, the list is such a prestigious list, Dr. Abati. Every year we see Nigerians also topping the list. But this year is particularly special for me because they are young people that we've seen on the list.
Well, the Time 100 Next list is like an accompaniment to the Time 100 that Time magazine releases every year. And I think that for us, 5 Nigerians on that list is very instructive. If you look at their profiles, the editorial director of this year's list says that these are persons who have offered clear-eyed hope amid the pandemic. And he says that all of these persons are making history or are on their way to making history or are already making history. And if you look at the profile of these persons, take the three ladies from the feminist coalition. They were the ones who raised money through Bitcoin, by the way, to provide feeding support for those people that were protesting in October 2020 at the Lekki toll gate in Lagos. Now, if you look at Davido was cited particularly for a song he released in 2020, Fem, which means shut up in Yoruba, or is it called Fem?
Fem.
You know, yeah. And that particular album became the anthem, the protest anthem for the people who were protesting at that time. Look at Flutterwave. Flutterwave was also, you know, part of that NSAS project because they were involved in the fintech end of it, the Bitcoin cryptocurrency end of it. Now, why do I say that this is instructive? These are persons, particularly those three girls, the feminist coalition, some of their associates have had to run away from the country. Some of them, their accounts were blocked. Flutterwave, the CBN has taken a decision against trade in cryptocurrency through the financial institutions. Now, Fem that became the anthem of the protest, has won, I think, gold. That's the second gold category album that Davido will produce. So this international endorsement is also, in a sense, a message to the Nigerian government.
I like that point.
That these persons who are despised at home because of their commitment to public good, the international community thinks that their contribution is very useful. Another important thing about this list is that on that list alone, there are about 54 women. And many of the persons who have been selected are very iconic, including John Ossoff, including that Democrat that won, Raphael Warnock from Georgia, a young person. And then you have a young boy on that list who's just 16 years old. So it's very instructive, and we should learn also here in Africa to celebrate people who are committed to the common good.
Rufai, before we wrap up the show, a quick comment from you.
Yeah, we should learn to celebrate young people in Africa. If people don't start by asking them, how old are you? Because ageism is a big problem in Africa. So if people don't start by asking them, how old are you to have achieved this? I think that's where the problem lies, really. But congratulations to all those people.
Yes.
They are the diamonds the president talked about at our independence event last year. They are the diamonds, and we should respect them. Nigerians will constantly shine.
Yes.
They're made to shine. We shine so bright. We've got diamond on the soles of our feet, like Paul Simon says in Graceland.
Thank you, Rufai. They truly are diamonds. Thank you.
We'll see you again tomorrow.